make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Make Your Day Richer. I'm your host, Richard Wilmore. My guest today spent the late 90s on a little show called, what's it? Oh, The Rosie O'Donnell Show. Take a look.
I'm sitting here with Katz, one of the writers of this show, and when Alan was on the show back in December, he did a stunning rendition of a holiday classic. Watch this. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So your name is Katz.
Yep.
You sang like cats, and now you've got a book about cats called Come Here, Kitty.
Right. Come Here, Kitty, a cat lover's guide to pestering your pet.
Moments to be proud of, right? His new book, Zuluine, comes out next Tuesday. Please welcome Alan Katz. Alan, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I do have to tell you the piece of information that almost nobody knows, which is that was John Belushi's tuxedo from Saturday Night Live.
How did that happen?
Well, the Rosie show was on the same floor as 8H, where they do SNL, and we shared their wardrobe when needed.
Wow. So were you not supposed to be on the show, or how did that come about?
Oh, no, I was supposed to be on the show.
Okay.
I was a guest got bumped or something happened. I was the stick around in your tuxedo and we'll get you on someday. It was holiday time. And people used to stop me on the street at the Tree at Rockefeller Center because we were at NBC. And they'd say, "Are you the guy who meows on TV?" And I'd say, "Well, yeah, actually it's a CD and I'm just doing that." And they'd always ask the same question, not "Can I have your autograph?" Not "Can I take a picture?" They'd always say, "Why?" It's funny, isn't it? I go, "Yeah, kind of." And they'd walk away. Or ask
Why
me,
not? Is really the question.
Exactly.
Was Rosie's show your first big show that you did?
Well, I had done a lot of animation. My wife and I moved to LA from 89 to 92, had a baby the night before the Rodney King riots, and then hightailed it right back to the East Coast. But I was writing for Taz-Mania and Goof Troop and a show called Disney's Raw Toonage. I was nominated for an Emmy for Disney's Raw Toonage, a daytime Emmy, and lost to Batman because you can't beat Batman.
Man, if you're going to lose, it might as well beat a Batman.
But, in fact, I'm a 6-time daytime Emmy loser because we lost every year on the Rosie show.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was that like? I mean, that was such a special time in TV, in her life. What was that like to be in that space?
I had the greatest time that I've ever had because every morning I live in Connecticut, about an hour from New York. I get on the train at 5:30 in the morning with 7 newspapers on my lap. I would read all the papers, not so much for the news, not for what Congress was doing, but for if Baskin Robbins was adding a 30-second flavor or something that would be pertinent to the show.
Something relevant, yes.
And I would write a song about it right there on the train and show up at the office. I'd get there about 7. And by 7:20 or so, we were meeting with Rosie, and I would say, there's a new flavor or a new, dryer lint remover or something. And we'd talk about it, and she'd say, "Okay, finish that song. We'll do it today." And at 10 a.m., it was on the teleprompter, and she was nailing it every day. Now, I wasn't the only one writing the songs. Casey St. Onge, who is now she's the most prolific person I know, and she's now on a weekly show on QVC with Busy Phillips. She and I worked under Jeanette Barber. There were other writers who came and went, but for the most part, it was for the 5 years I was there, it was the two of us kind of handling the load.
Wow. I know for a while they were having reunions every the 5-year reunion of the show. Are they still doing that, or have they not done that in a while?
We did one before the pandemic. We did a 20-year reunion. And actually it would be the 25th. Next year would be the 20th.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. The 25th
20.
already happened. It was 97. So
Yeah.
maybe even 96. So we did one online and we did one in person. And, you know, some of us are still in touch. I see John McDaniel all the time. And, you know, it's a good group of people.
Yeah. John McDaniel, nice enough to come to our 4th season premiere on the old show that I did. You have written, I think, over 50 books, right? Here's a little graphic of just some of them. I don't know if you've ever.
Wow, that's a lot of fine literature.
That's a lot of books, and I love that you write books that cater to like kids and their parents. So, how did you get into that? It seems like you've kind of always been kid-centric, right, with all of your work. But why is it important for you to write for kids, and how do you stay engaged and like motivated to keep writing like that?
Well, thank you for saying all that. When I was writing the funny songs for Rosie, or co-writing them, or contributing in any way, I said, wait a minute, there's a book here of song parodies. And very naively, I put together a proposal for a book that became, if I can hold it up, Take Me Out of the Bathtub and Other Silly Dilly Songs, which was just banned in Katy, Texas, because she on the cover.
Of course.
Beyond, you know, I mean, book banning is a whole nother topic and the worst thing that's ever happened. But banning because kids can't see a naked tushy is something altogether. But I said, here's a proposal for a book of silly dilly songs, as I was calling them. And very naively, I said, wait a minute, Simon & Schuster's right across from NBC. I'll send them a proposal and then they'll buy it. And then I can go back and forth on my lunch hour if we need to work on the book. And it happened.
Wow.
It just happened. I wrote to them and they said, come on in, let's meet. We met, and an editor by the name of Emma Dryden, who is a god in children's literature as far as I'm concerned. We did this. We did 8 follow-ups. There are 9 silly dilly songbooks, not unlike what I was writing for the Rosie show. Stinky, Stinky Diaper Change to the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It's practically the national anthem for kids. I visit schools. I do school visits all around the country. And kids know the songs, which is so gratifying and so wonderful. And they write their own songs, which is even more gratifying. But that Take Me Out of the Bathtub happened because I was writing funny songs. I said, this could be a book. It's now a musical, too, starring my son, David Katz. We played about 35 performances on the East Coast and looking to bring it further. There's 2 versions. There's a concert version, and there's a version that has kind of a story like an American Idol looking for the silly dilliest song in America. And it's got stories of inclusion and fairness and kindness to others. So looking to build on that a little bit. And I've been very fortunate to finally answer your question, though. I have 4 kids. I'm childlike myself. And, you know, there are so many books out there right now, so many books by so many wonderful authors that adults want their kids to read, or teachers want their students to read. The kids don't want to read. Yeah. Because they're teaching messages of being nice to each other, or working hard, or cleaning your room. But when I write a book, I'll hold up another one like Got Your Nose, which is just a romp where Grandpa says, hey, Becky, got your nose. And she says, oh, Grandpa, that's so silly. He leaves. He actually does take her nose, and the chase is on, and they have to find her nose. Kids are laughing at that. It can't happen. It's not Freddy Krueger. It's not a dangerous situation. And at the end, I'll give away the ending. They say, well, they find the nose. They say, that was fun. And Grandpa says, I'm so sorry I did that. And she said, oh, that's okay. I had fun. And he said, I had the best time ever. And she says, well, in that case, Grandpa, got your ear. And the ear. Schools are having their students write their own books called Got Your Ear. How much do I love that my creativity inspires other creativity?
Those you have to have so many like pinch me moments when you're out visiting those schools and you're hearing those things. Like it has to be like, whose life is this, right?
It's a great joy to visit schools. Now, I will say that it's fun to visit schools, and question and answer time informs me. And I always close my school visits by saying, here's something I'm working on. What do you think? And it's a focus group. Kids go, no, I don't get that. Or, you know what it should be? It shouldn't be a car wash. It should be a bank. Or, you know, and I always run everything by my own family too. My wife, by the way, is a Pulitzer-nominated journalist. very serious journalist. And whereas I do the humor, she does the more serious work.
That's how you get along so well.
But that's how we get along so well. And the kids get a little bit of everything. But the kids ask questions, and the questions inform me so much. Most of the questions are, how old are you? How much money do you make? And until a couple of years ago, when I lost a lot of weight, one boy raised his hand and said, how do you get fat?
Ooh.
And I said, you mean, how do I write fast? Because I don't write fast. I take my time and make sure I have all the punctuation and everything. He goes, no. How do you get fat? And the teachers are like on their phones and not, but all good. Excuse me.
Oh, have you noticed in the last, 5 years or whatever, with younger kids having tablets and access to things to distract them, is it harder to engage them in reading, or is it still the same?
It's not my job to engage them in reading, but I do visit a lot of schools where kids say, I don't read. I don't like to read. And somebody a lot smarter than I am said, and I love to quote it, said, if you don't like to read, you haven't read the right book yet. And my buddy Dan Gutman, who has written 100 My Weird School Stories, and they're stories about some kids in a school named Elementary School. Ella, as the name Ella, like Ella Fitzgerald. And he's written 100 stories. And kids who will not read, I give them a copy of Miss Daisy is Crazy. That's the first book in the series. And they breeze through the other 99, maybe not all of them, but kids go, wait a minute, I do like to read. One of the things I do, I have a poetry book. I'll keep showing this stuff. I have a poetry book called Oops.
We'll just do this, so that you just talk over this, and then I'll point.
Okay, 100 poems. And I'm not a poet. My wife is a poet. But I wrote funny rhyming poems because, after all, my silly dilly songs are kind of poems. And there's a poem in the book that's the first poem. And it starts, the wind is blowing quite a breeze. And I say to kids, I wrote it down because the wind was blowing quite a breeze when I looked out the window. I said, if it hadn't worked out, you cross it out. Or if you're on a keyboard, you hit delete, delete, delete. I said, indeed, that is the first line of the first poem in Oops. Does anybody have a second line for the poem? And somebody says, the wind is blowing quite a breeze. It's so cold that I might freeze. I say, fine, you're writing a winter poem. Somebody says, the wind is blowing quite a breeze. Look out, there's a swarm of bees. That's a picnic poem. And as I go around the room, kids are saying, wait a minute, I can do this. I can write poetry. And then I read how I finish the poem. But that's, my watch is reading a poem.
It's helping. It's also helping to write the book.
And then teachers write to me and say, after you left, the kid said, we got to write more poetry. So how much do I love that after I visit, I don't say anything that the teachers don't say. I don't do anything that the teachers don't do, but somehow they're hearing it maybe with a goofiness or with a lightheartedness that turns them. And I get so much mail from kids saying, here's my version of Got Your Nose, or here's what I would have done. I love that because we're all in it together. Now, I don't need the competition, but we're all in it together.
They don't have access to the publisher, hopefully.
That's right.
Yeah. You have a book that comes out next Tuesday called Zooloween.
Zooloween. It's Halloween at the zoo, and all the animals are dressing up like each other for a Halloween parade. I know July 16th is early for a Halloween book, but Staples already has the back to school stuff.
Yeah, I've seen stores have the Halloween stuff out already. So
I haven't seen that, but online somebody posted that Costco has Halloween stuff. So as it gets closer to the fall, we'll be talking about that book, illustrated by Stephanie Labaris, who I have not met. I don't meet most of my illustrators, frankly, but I'm so indebted to them for the work they do. A book like Got Your Nose came alive because Alex Willen, who's a genius Midwestern illustrator, Midwest-based illustrator, I should say, brought it to life. And I love that. I love working with illustrators, even if I'm not physically working with them.
That's a good question about kind of the process of making a book. Are you just sending the words to them and then you're getting, or are you collaborating at all in that process?
Very, very, very rarely do I collaborate. There's an illustrator now who who I've done school visits with actually, and he's become a good buddy. And I showed him a couple of books, and he said, I could illustrate those. So we're thinking of pitching them together. But by and large, the closest I've come to selecting an illustrator is on a book that's coming out next spring. It's a Passover book. The editor said, you want him or you want her? And I looked at both of their online portfolios and said, you know what? I like him a lot. I think he's good. And she's wonderful, but not for this particular story. So that's about the closest I come. And I do get a chance to say, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. You know, if the nose ran off in a direction that I didn't mean, Alex would have certainly taken my input. But by and large, I do what I do best. He does what he does best, and the book company brings it together.
That's amazing. You also have a book that's coming out in the fall, if I can get it up here. There we go. The funniest joke book ever for kids. How'd that come about?
Jokes are empowering. I think, you know, if you've got a joke, I mean, certainly my life was humor filled. You probably see, let me get you a look. There's Jerry on the bed. This is my office in the guest room. Jerry, I got him when I was 4. He's actually wearing a sweater that my mother made him, and she made me a matching sweater.
Oh my gosh.
But of course, his still fits. And I did, after lunch every day, if the kids cleaned up fast, they got to see me do an extemporaneous show with Jerry every afternoon. And humor was my ticket. I wouldn't say to popularity, and in some cases, it was my ticket to not getting bullied.
Yeah.
But if you have a joke, you have a chance to make a friend. You know, if I fall all over myself at school visits to say it's really fun to make people laugh, but it's never okay to make a joke at anybody else's expense. I don't care if you're going to say the funniest thing ever. If 1,000 people are laughing and one person feels bad, keep that joke to yourself. It's not okay to write it. It's not okay to say it. And the teachers nod like bobbleheads because it is about kindness. Yeah. But if I give you a joke, you know, like what's orange and sounds like a parrot? Do you know what's orange and sounds like a parrot?
No.
A carrot. A carrot sounds like a parrot. This was a joke I wasn't sure if I would put in the book, but I ultimately did because I gave the warning about being kind to other people. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Europe.
Europe who?
No, Europe who. See, that's a good joke. That's a
that's a good one.
That's a solid piece of. But the joke that the joke that I didn't put in the book that makes me laugh like crazy is a teacher says to a student, "What does your dad do?" And the kid says, "My dad died." And she says, "Oh, what did he do before he died?" And the kid says, "Eh."
Oh my God.
That's not in the book.
Not in the book for kids. Maybe in the adult version.
Right.
That could be good. Were you involved at all in the Kids Are Punny books? Was that your idea? Or
I got there after the Kids Are Punny books.
Okay.
But I worked with Rosie on a number of other special projects and certainly with her magazine.
Yeah.
Rosie magazine, which some of you will remember. I have the complete set of copies back there. I wrote some articles.
So do I. Not back here, but over there. Yes.
I wrote an article. We had twins that were born during the run of the Rosie show. And we moved into a house that was like a danger zone. There were levels and stairs and open stairways and pits and everything. And we spent so much money to gate-proof the house, to baby-proof the house, that we're like, what were we thinking? So I wrote an article about that. So that's in Rosie magazine. Pick up a copy at your local newsstand.
Yeah, yes, or eBay. They're all on eBay. I see them all the time when I'm on there looking for Rosie stuff. How can people buy your books and connect with you?
Well, buying the books is easy. Local bookstores are always the best. If they don't have it in stock, they will order it and probably get it to you within a day or two. We got to keep the independent bookstores alive in this country. Huge, huge situation there. As a fallback, Barnes & Noble, online, Amazon certainly has them. In terms of getting in touch with me, it's Alan Katz Books. Don't make fun of me. Alan Katz Books at AOL.com. I'm still an AOLer because my email address is in a lot of the books, and I don't want to change off and not check it and all that. So I'll be glad to come visit a school. I'll be glad to Zoom. I Zoom with schools a lot too, although there's nothing like an in-person visit. And let's do that.
That's good to know. My best friend from high school saw that you were coming on, and she messaged me and she was like, Alan Katz, I read his books to my students every year. And I was like, well, there you go. So
it's crazy. This book will be 25 years old in a couple of years. It's in its 37th or 38th printing. And people are coming up to me saying, I grew up on that book. I'm raising my kids on that book. And, they'll hand me, Scholastic does the paperback editions that fall apart in time. And, when they hand them to me and say, will you please sign them? I always want to say next time buy the hardcover. But you're not supposed to do
but
that.
You just signed. Yeah.
Actually, on the back of the book is a blurb from Rosie. That's how old this book is.
Wow. There you go. That means I have to go get that book for sure now.
You do. In fact, I think you need like 38 copies.
I mean, yes, for every year since, yes, I'm turning 40 next month, so maybe 40 copies.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. AlanKatzBooks.com is his website. We'll put it in the show notes and in the comments. I can't thank you enough for jumping on and spending some time with me today.
Well, I sure thank you. I love the setup. I love your background. It's very familiar of where it comes from.
I don't know. It took me a lot of time to find something like that. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And Nick, you'll have me back someday. I'll tell you about my time on the Tony Danza Show.
Okay, good. Come back when your next book comes out and then we'll chat.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Happy birthday in advance.
Yes, thank you. We will be right back after this, everyone.
Thank you.
In this world of innovation, would you rather have an old, outdated flip phone or a brand new iPhone? A horse and buggy carriage or the newest luxury hybrid? A dial-up router with your AOL account or a super fast Wi-Fi hotspot? With nutrition, what you have been using or taking up until now hasn't been bad. There's just something newer. We all appreciate advancements in science and technology. In the same way we seek the best and newest in our electronics, vehicles, and everyday conveniences, wouldn't you also want the best technology and newest innovation for your nutrition and supplementation? At the time, you may have had the best from what was out there and available. Now, there is something better and newer, more bioavailable, more convenient, better tasting, faster acting. It literally is the equivalent to getting an IV full of high-tech nutrients right into your bloodstream, without the needle, without the appointment, without being attached to anything for a specific length of time. Simply pop these tasty, all-natural lozenges into your mouth and savor as they instantly start to absorb into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes. That's it. And with the added benefit of negative ions, in other words, energy, there isn't anything else out there on the market like it. Now is the time to switch to the next improvement and innovation in health and nutrition. It's time for advancement. It's time for better. It's time for APL Go and our Rapid Botanical DNA Drops.
Like sweating. I was so nervous to talk to him. I don't know what was happening. What's going to happen when Rosie comes on this show? I'm going to probably pee myself, but it's all right. I'll make it through. And you heard it here first that Alan's going to come back to talk about Tony Danza. So we'll do this in the spring when his other book comes out and make sure that he comes on here. I want to thank all of our sponsors of the show. We even this morning got more sponsors for this show, and I can't thank you all enough. This has been a dream of mine since I was 10 years old to have a show. And every day I get to talk to amazing people, and it's because of our sponsors. So you can go to buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher and support the show that way. And every day is a dream come true. So thank you all so much for being part of this ride with me. Tomorrow, we have Akua Kant, who's the LinkedIn cheerleader. She was supposed to be on a couple weeks ago, but couldn't make it. So she's back tomorrow. And our Rosie toy today, even though Alan was here and he could be my Rosie memorabilia, every day until she's on this show, we're showing something that I have. And this is a still in package from Kmart, of course. I had to go to a different state to buy CDs because where I lived in northern Wisconsin, nothing was around there. So I had to drive to Michigan. And this is her first Christmas CD, still in the packaging, in the plastic, because I have like 9 versions of this. A Rosie Christmas with Celine Dion is on here. And I watched her documentary this weekend. I don't know if anybody has seen that yet. It's on Amazon Prime. It is so sad and awful what she is going through. But I just, the fact that she put it out there, kudos to her to share her story. You should all go watch that on Amazon Prime. I think it's called I Am Celine. It's just, if you've ever been a Celine fan, if you know nothing about her, you should still watch this documentary to see what this woman is going through and her family, what they have gone through. Oh, awful, 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 awful. All right, everyone. Today's show was not awful. It was amazing. And thank you for watching. And we will see you tomorrow. I love you all. Go do good things out there. Bye.